evening, Djiboutians and everyone watching us live on RTD channel for the English news edition. The major stories for this Sunday are: the activities of the mobile medical team of specialists and surgeons came to an end today in Tijor region. And on the international news, Turkish army claims to have entered Afrin in Syria, where the Kurds are denying. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed has received this morning the new ambassador stationed in Djibouti, Mr. Kochio Ntani, who replaced Mr. Tetsu Aure. The meeting took place in the presence of the Chief of Staff, Mr. Yusuf Aulid Farah. The new diplomat thanked the Prime Minister for his availability and described the Djibouti-Nippon cooperation as fruitful and hopeful. He said he intends to continue the work of his predecessor, Mr. Tetsu Aure. He said that Japan will continue to support Djibouti in its development efforts in various fields, including training, health and agriculture. He pointed out that many projects are being implemented in the country, construction sites which are, according to him, materialize the reinforcement of the bilateral cooperation. He also asked the Prime Minister for the support of the Republic of Djibouti for the candidacy of his fellow citizen Kunio Mikura as the Secretary General of the World Customs Organization. And for his part, the Prime Minister congratulated the new diplomat for his accreditation in the country, and he said that the two countries have long-standing friendship and cooperation. The Minister of Equipment and Transport, Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa, also received the new ambassador of Japan, according to Djibouti, Mr. Koshio Ntani. The relations between the two countries was the focus of discussions. Mr. Koshio Ntani will meet most of the members of the government during his meetings. In Tijora, an important ceremony closed yesterday. The activities of the mobile medical team of specialists and surgeons who for 10 days has treated some 10,330 people. Several members of the government made the trip for this ceremony alongside the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Milki. Among the personalities who made the move appear the Minister of the Interior, Hassan Umar Mohammed, the Minister Delegate for the Decentralization, Hamadou Mohamed Aramis, the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Mona Osman Adan, the former Prime Minister Dilaita Mohamed Dilaita, and as many parliamentarians. Representative of the IOM, Mrs. Larani Verasami, and of course WHO Jafar Jalal, and the World Bank in Djibouti, Mr. Atusek, were also among those who made the trip to Tijora. The delegation was warmly welcomed on its arrival in Tijora, where the Sultan Abdul Qadir Hamad and the Prefect of the region, Abdul Malik Mohammed Benoita, were at the head of those who welcomed the guests of the White City, including the notables. A joyful, memorable and festive day brightened up by traditional songs and folk dances that excited the participants at this ceremony. And speaking on this occasion, the Prefect and the President of the Council of Tijora pronounced the words of welcome and evoked the success of the medical and surgical caravan for the population. As for the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Mona Osman, also spoke to pay tribute to the Health Department and the Prefect coordination between different ministerial departments. As a native of the White City, the Interior Minister Hassan Umar Mohammed expressed his full satisfaction with the success of the mobile medical team's mission. It helped to treat a very large number of people on the spot, he said. And finally, the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Milki, spoke in his speech and raised the main objectives sought through the development of the medical team of surgeons and specialists. He further recalled that this initiative stems from the political vision of President Ismail Mergele and reflects the desire to constantly approach patients. And during the ceremony, materials were granted to the population of Tajura by the Department of Health. In addition to providing a large amount of food for more than 300 of the poorest households in the region, the minister also handed over the keys of 2 fully equipped and brand new ambulances to the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Abdurrahman. Bales containing nearly 15,000 intoxicated treated mosquito nets will be distributed to all localities to strengthen the fight against malaria. The Medical and Hospital Center of Tajura has also received a new X-ray machine of last generation, and this was acquired and donated by the IOM as part of its partnership with the Ministry of Health. The granting of these materials and equipment followed the complaints made by the people of Tajura during the popular and citizen consultation with the Minister of Health, Dr. Jami Al-Myoki, which took place in November 2017. The delegation led by the Minister of Health then made a guided visit in the consultation rooms to inquire about the progress of the activities of the medical and surgical caravan in the Tajura Medical Center. The medical and surgical team of about 15 specialist doctors has been formed in ophthalmology, gynecology, psychiatry, pediatrics, and many more. More than 10,330 people were consulted and treated. And in the afternoon of yesterday, the ministerial delegation led by the Minister of Health, Dr. Jami Al-Myoki, met the elders and notables of the Tajura region to discuss the main issues in the region, the health field that preoccupies them, but also to listen to their grievances. In attendance were Minister of Health, his colleagues from the Interior, Hassan Umar, the Secretary General of the State for Solidarity, Mrs. Muna Osman Aden, and the Deputy Minister of Decentralization, Hamadou Mohamed Aramis. Also note the presence of the Sultan of Tajura. Also, the Minister of Housing and Environment, Mr. Musa Mohamed Ahmed, made a trip to Tajura yesterday. This move aims to oversee the state of progress of the project activities entitled Implementation of Adaptation Technologies in the Central Plains Fragile Ecosystems. It is a $1 million project. Such a project will also allow people to earn a living or find a job. The Minister of Housing and Environment, Mr. Musa Mohamed Ahmed, announced that several major flagship projects are underway in the region and in their localities. Now, continuing with the national news, as part of the promotion of women's empowerment through the introduction of training in innovative sectors and new technologies, the Minister of Women and the Family has this morning paid a tribute to the Kasaf Training Center. This audiovisual training is dedicated to young girls. The objective of this training is to offer girls a way to generate income by working in this area to be more competitive in the labor market through the certificates that will be issued at the end of this training. The launch of the training program for blind and visually impaired people organized by the Presidency of the Republic opened this morning at the Hassan Goulet Stadium. This program will continue until 6 February 2018. This program is an initiative of the President of the Republic, is a duty of solidarity that is a pillar of social development. Blind and visually impaired people have the right and the duty of every citizen to improve their living conditions. Basic training is necessary, such as the use of can to move freely and properly in the main arteries. Several associations of the blind and visually impaired participated in this training from disadvantaged backgrounds. This program is chaired by the Secretary General of the Presidency, Mohamed Abdullahi Wais. Several Secretaries General and parliamentarians participated in the launch of the program. It will be animated throughout the week by 2 experts, Duali Mahmoud and Idris Mohammed, who are responsible for people with special needs. Also present with the Director of the Presidency Cabinet, Mohammed Siddiq, the Chief of the Staff of the Presidency, Mohammed Abdul Qadir, the Technical Advisor to the Presidency, Ali Dato. And for his part, the General Secretary, Mr. Mohamed Abdullahi Wais, said this program is an initiative of the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, who gave special importance to people with special needs, and they must pursue a more training program to be independent and autonomous in motion. In the framework of the National Dialogue Preparations between the youth and its president under the instructions of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, a workshop took place at the Hassan Gulaid Stadium. The workshop brought together several young people with disabilities in a small organizing committee supported by 3 high-ranking personalities from special needs groups, namely Mr. Ali Mohammed, Mr. Duale Said and Mr. Idris Mumin, who have in turn emphasized the scope and the sacred dimension of this noble initiative not tainted by passions. The participants in this workshop, young and old with special needs, immediately declared themselves to be delighted and amazed by these wonderful initiatives which the President of the Republic has always supported, and did not forget today to offer them this opportunity to take part in this dialogue that he wanted inclusively. Officials on this part fully assured to send their complaints to the head of the state, urging them to select a group that will represent them at this national conference for youth. Obituary. It is with sorrow we announce the death of the late Hajj Abdullahi Baqir Fattah, who died Thursday evening in Djibouti after a long illness. Deceased was born in 1950 in Ali Sabih, where he spent his entire career in the Ministry of Health and worked as a qualified operator assistant in the Peltier operating room and was retired. He was a respected personality and left behind him a large family, including 5 children and many small children. In these painful circumstances, the residents of Neighborhood 7 in its association send their most grievous condolences to the family of the deceased and pray to the Almighty to welcome him to his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And on the international news, the Turkish army claimed Sunday they have entered the Kurdish area of Afrin in northern Syria, multiplying the strikes against the Kurdish militia YPG, but they claim to have repelled incursions. On the second day of the Turkish Olive Grove operation, the Turkish army said in a statement issued on Sunday that the ground offensive began. Turkish troops arrived in the Afrin region controlled by the People's Protection Units. Prime Minister Binali Yildirim was quoted by the Dogan news agency as saying this Turkish militia is considered terrorist by Ankara but supported by Washington, and the YPG for this part claimed to have rejected an incursion, and Turkey wanted to enter Afrin, but we have repulsed their attack, said one of their spokesman, Birux Hayasak. Turkish troops advanced into enclave supported by Syrian fighters trained by Ankara, and Turkish state news agency Andoli reports and say they are multiplying airstrikes and artillery bombardment against YPG positions in the organization of the Islamic State. Well, that's all for this news. Thank you for joining us on RTD and have a good night.